Hello, everybody, to what is most likely the second episode in this confusing monstrosity of a podcast. I'm co-editor in chief Elijah Beam, and with me is my fellow co-editor in chief Caleb Sandbox Lot, and his friend Harrison.
It's soapbox.
I said soapbox.
You Pennsylvanian turd.
Missouri Cad! Or rather, Mississippi Cat.
Fail. You failed already in the first 10 seconds of the podcast. You failed.
But who truly fails? Is the failure or the fail that follows? Watch yourself.
Nah, it's just you. Gerard says it was you. It's you.
Gerard doesn't know anything. All he does is eat emails. We really need to make him stop doing that.
No, they're so tasty. Anyways.
So, Caleb, what topic would you like to start on today?
Well, since Harrison is the special guest for today, maybe for forever.
Don't make me start.
Oh, come on. All right. Don't do that. Fine. We'll start off with Battleborn. Take the lead sometime. Elijah, no rants. That's my territory.
Yeah, good luck with that.
They've released some Battleborn gameplay footage. Like 30 minutes of it, I believe.
Yeah, about 20 minutes got released, and through Game Informer, it shows off the game's cooperative campaign because not only is it a MOBA, it's a cooperative MOBA.
It's Gearbox. That's all they do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Basically.
As we speak, I'm looking at a trailer because I don't know anything.
Let's put it this way. It's a MOBA, but it's a shooter. Because apparently
it's a MOBA. It's a MOBA, but we're not calling it a MOBA because then we're automatically thinking of League of Legends. So we want it to be different because we're Gearbox and we're special. I guess. I don't know. Rainy Pitchford. I don't know what's going on in his head sometimes.
And what particularly just kind of boggles me is there's not necessarily an unfulfilled niche here. I mean, on the AAA scale, maybe you could argue to me that in the AAA scene there haven't been a lot of shooter MOBAs, but Monday Night Combat and to some extent even Titanfall took notes from MOBA games. It feels like just another drop in the MOBA bucket. We have enough of these.
And not a particularly interesting drop so far either.
No, it really isn't. I know everyone keeps going on about, oh, it looks so different, but actually it really doesn't. A lot of the character design feels like something I could have seen out of anywhere. You want an actual MOBA that looks distinctive? Gigantic.
Yeah, it looks a lot like League to me.
Yeah, the characters don't mesh up at all, and it's. I can't think of a positive thing to say about it other than, well, it means that you're not going to be ruining your wrist by clicking on a mouse repeatedly.
The main thing that bothers me is how all the gamers, that everyone that's hearing about Battleborn is so hyped up. They're excited for it. Oh, Gearbox is making a new game, yada yada. We have Alien Isolation about to come out, developed by Creative Assembly, published by Sega. It's coming out next month. And the last time an Alien game was published by Sega was Alien Colonial Marines. And in case you need a refresher of how that was, let's just say it was shite. Yeah, however, that game was developed, I say that in quotation marks, developed by Gearbox. However, Gearbox has pretty much washed their hands of it, and they're trying to absolve themselves from all responsibility. They're pulling a Punctious Pilot here. They're like, wash our hands of it. We have no responsibility in the matter. And the thing that bothers me is how everyone is giving all this flack to Creative Assembly and Sega about a new Alien game that actually looks promising, but they're not holding Gearbox to task. They're not holding their feet to the fire for all the deceptive things they've done with Alien Colonial Marines. Now they're ready to throw their money at the screens for a new Gearbox game, when in reality they don't deserve the gamers' trust, considering how they betrayed them really badly. There was that special collector's edition that was going for at least $120.
Yeah,
I think that came with the Ripley statue. And if you pre-ordered that, bought that day one, or even anywhere over $10, you probably felt ripped off.
I
And I feel bad for you, but Gearbox is like, thanks for your money. Here's another game. No, we didn't make a bad game. No, that's not our fault. And it's just really irksome how no one's saying anything about it.
And speaking as someone who, for those of you who recently read my first episode in Still Alive, which hopefully will also be coming to this YouTube channel, you notice that the next one I said was Aliens Colonial Marines. And well, I don't want to just give it all away here. I'm going to say it right now.
It's shite.
It makes me feel sad. And the thing is, I know it's not just Gearbox. I know TimeGate basically had to make an entire game in the span of, what 7 months? Because Gearbox didn't even do their job right. But just...
Gearbox didn't do their job at all.
Nah. And that's, I agree. I agree that this sudden... I don't get why it's just so much easier to blame Sega over Gearbox, because it wasn't until Borderlands that Gearbox really was even that big a deal.
Yeah, I'd never heard of them before.
They did make the Brothers in Arms games, so some people knew about them.
I played Brothers in
I
Arms Road to Hill 30, but they haven't made
Harrison,
a new one in that for years.
We have fond memories of that one.
Yeah, that one was really good.
Well, we were playing Hell's Highway, and, I don't know if you played Elijah, but sometimes whenever you would do a specific action, sometimes gratuitous slow motion would trigger. So we throw a grenade, and we're sitting there waiting to see what happens, and all of a sudden the game goes to slow motion. And
we
for
had no
some
idea
reason,
what.
yeah, it's just sitting there. We're like, okay, what's going on? And all of a sudden, the Nazi, has separated in two, and he's flying in separate directions. And we both looked at each other with our jaws dropped and said, let's do it again!
And
But-
couldn't make it happen. Not once.
No, unfortunately.
I just really liked the way they did that with the squad-based stuff. It just worked so well in that game.
So, yeah, Brothers in Arms, I wish they would actually make a new one that wasn't a Borderlands Brothers in Arms. I want a new Brothers in Arms that was like Hell's Highway and Road to Hill 30, an actual strategic shooter. It was so much fun. And you got to blow Nazis up. And it wasn't like Sniper Elite where it was kind of repetitive after a while. It was kind of fresh for the most part.
Sniper Elite.
I got to blow a Nazi in two, and his pieces of his body went separate directions. 10 out of 10 game of the year. I'm done. That's it.
But they aren't even doing that cooperative shooter that was basically Bulletstorm now. They were like, oh, we're gonna make it its own IP.
Yeah, Furious 4, I believe it was.
Yeah, we got like one trailer. I think Game Informer previewed it once, and then nothing. Just flat out nothing.
See, that's another thing. Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm was a terrific first-person shooter. Yes, it had flaws, but I would rather have a flawed and inventive and imaginative game over a highly polished, very derivative, cough, cough, Destiny, very unimaginative game. So the fact that we're seeing another MOBA that's now a shooter, just come on, you hear people all the time crying about a lack of innovation and lack of new things, but yet whenever they announce something that's not really that different so far, or they just tease something, people go frothing at the mouth and just, must have it now, throwing money at the screen. It's like, come on, people. Come on, man. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you.
Harrison, what do you think after watching the trailer?
It looks a lot like you just took League and then made it first person. I mean, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's
You
But
pretty much
that kind
described
of looks
it.
like fun, but that's exactly what it looks like.
I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be fun. Any game can be fun with friends, but yeah,
That's
like
what
you're
I'm
saying,
thinking.
it
It
looks
wouldn't
like
be fun by yourself.
oh no, just like Borderlands. If you try to play that by yourself, it was
I
pretty
did.
miserable.
I would rather play that with people I didn't know and then have all the hijinks of random people popping in and out and doing junk that you don't get or understand or whatever than by yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same here. I tried to do it solo.
But like you said, it just looks so uninspired right now. It's like, this looks extremely familiar. And, one of the things of game design is evolution by iteration. The clone, so to speak. But there's always ways that they make something new happen from something old, you know?
Yeah,
We're seeing
and if
so
you
many
take it and
platforms.
yeah,
Okay.
and maybe it looks similar, but or you get the same vibe of something else you've played before, but you think of it fondly, not like this is just a copy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Transistor had a lot of elements that, you know, it wasn't groundbreaking or new by any means. It was an isometric ARPG with strategic elements like their last game Bastion, which in and of itself wasn't new, but it was a way they combined the elements with
And
this
the art.
unique narrative, exactly
Yeah.
the art style. And it's just, you know, Harrison, it was just, wow, oh my goodness. It
Yeah,
fits together in a way like a cohesive puzzle piece that you don't, so it feels new and fresh, and you don't think, this is just a so-and-so clone, like you said.
Yeah. Speaking of, I need to finish playing my second playthrough of that.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list that grows by the day.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison, though, is playing Child of Light right now. What do you think
I am.
about that? What do you think about that?
Well, it's fun. The prose is annoying. I knew that going in that it was going to be annoying that they did that, but it's really pretty. The art style and everything. That I don't remember what that engine's called they use, where they just import the.
It's something like Uberdraft.
It's the Ubi framework, I believe it's called. And
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it works great.
Yeah.
And it looks really good, and I think it's a fun twist on the little kind of turn-based thing, but it's kind of weird to get used to, but it's fun. I'll probably finish it.
You'll probably finish it.
Yeah, it didn't grab my attention as much as I wanted it to.
Well, I mean,
It's fun.
obviously, it's no Portal 2, but
3, you mean?
Valve can't count to 3. Harrison's favorite game ever is the Portal series.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Guilty.
He is a Portal fanatic.
Yep.
I actually got in
I
on
can't-
that one really late. I got in on Steam and the Orange Box right around the time Steam had that huge update that completely redesigned its interface into what it is like it is now. So I strongly agree on Portal 1. Portal 2 was fun, I guess.
The co-op was amazing.
I never
Yes,
actually got to
and
try
we
that.
need to
I
finish some of
never
that, Caleb,
got
by the
to
way.
try that.
Oh yeah, I know. The mods are just...
Oh yeah, wasn't there that one map where you literally cannot see your ally? There was one where you'd see each other through the plexiglass. Then once you got over to the other side, you were both invisible.
I don't remember that.
I haven't played it, but I would not be surprised if that is something, because the community is just ridiculous.
Some of the single-player ones were like almost as good, if not better, than some of the main game levels.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Indeed.
The only problem was the some of the flow of it was different from Portal 1, which I know is a bigger game, different flow, but still some of the puzzles just were kind of off. It was very simple. It was just a lot of walking. But then when you did get to a puzzle, it was normally really rewarding once you figured it out.
Yeah.
So
The traversal, I've heard a lot of people complain about that.
yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still a great game. Some flaws don't matter in the whole scheme of things. Whereas
Definitely
a
the
game like
funniest one I've ever played.
Destiny, oh yes, I'm making a segue here. Whereas with
dear.
Destiny, you've got a very I have not played it. However, I was at a friend's house last night, and I was watching him play it, and the whole time I was just doing a Mystery Science Theater Rift Tracks commentary on it, aggravating him while he was trying to play. Because I was like, oh, all right, you're going to shoot this bullet sponge, or is this a boss? He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, this giant thing that you're shooting at has a health bar that takes up half the screen. It's a bullet sponge. Shoot it in the giant glowing red spot, right? And he was showing me, if you score a critical hit here, then they take more damage, and the way it looks is different. I said, yeah, like Borderlands? He said, yeah, but still. I said, so you're telling me you're playing Halo and Borderlands, right? He said, yeah, I have some issues with it, but yeah, it's Halo and Borderlands. Okay. And I think I fell asleep after watching 10 minutes of footage. I was very, very bored very fast.
Interesting, because I've actually seen a lot of cases where it was a lot more liked as a spectator sort of thing rather than something actually being played. Because I always thought the game looked really good when you saw it in motion. It's just the second you're actually playing
It
it, a lot of the illusion goes away.
it does look it looked pretty. It had a great art style, but the whole time he was playing it, I just wanted to go play Halo because that's what I was reminding us that, this just reminds me of better games that were more fun or actually games I enjoyed watching people play because Halo was fun when I watched people play it. I had fun with people, but I just couldn't get into I was just sitting there watching it, trying to get into it, but all I could do was just pick apart every little thing I saw and just I couldn't stop myself. Said, yeah, that's from this game, and that looks like this, and this looks like that, and it was the melting pot, basically. And then when they did have something new, it was so late coming to the party. He was trying to show me something interesting. I said, I don't really care right now because all the other stuff was so drab and boring. Yeah, high praise indeed. That's as
For
USA
those of
Today said,
you, for
it's
those of
more than
you,
a game. It's a sleep aid.
for those of you wondering, my review is currently in editing right now.
Gerard
I,
was the only one who wondered, by the way.
yeah, I know. You know,
Yes, I'm a bastard.
I I'm gonna just be honest here. I hated actually having to review Destiny. Not in that I couldn't derive joy from playing it. It's simply just it's one of those kinds of games where I know there's a specific type of player who will enjoy it, but other people really aren't gonna get from it what they would hope they would. Because realistically, Destiny really is just made for the MMO crowd and for the Diablo crowd and for. And in a way, it's also kind of tried it's like an attempt to make it be like a Call of Duty for someone like me who likes shooter RPGs.
I'm
It's
gonna
like,
stop you. It's not the Diablo crowd is used to getting loot. Like
oh
there was
yeah,
a critical
that's true.
miss where when within hours of the game you'll have so much loot you don't know what to do, and then hours into Destiny you get one piece of equipment. It's not for loot hounds at all.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with the look. Definitely, the play looks a lot like it did in Borderlands, but the style looks like Halo. So
Oh yeah,
I'm
it
getting that
definitely
mix
plays.
completely.
Definitely. I actually played a bit of Halo 2 right before I actually started reviewing it because I still have my PC copy. Yes, Microsoft, we remember that it could actually run on PC. And overall, I there's a lot of elements that are blatantly taken from Halo 2, and I know that that's a Bungie game, so you can't just say, "Oh, they can't do that." But also, it's like I can see the same sort of control style when I use a melee attack, and I'm seeing this similarity and that similarity, and how much of this was just code you took and reused. And
Yeah.
I, 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 I really wonder if just they spent the entire majority of their writing time on that beta, the beta, because those cutscenes, that part of it, they're not fantastic, but they set the right tone. It feels like it's building up to something awesome, and then there is no payoff. And I mean, I know that they hinted at the Vault of Glass earlier in one of the missions, and maybe that's what they were hoping to go for. It's like, oh, we'll seed the plot line earlier on, and we'll just make it go longer and longer. But it's not working. It really isn't Bungie. It really, really isn't. People don't want to have to try to guess and wait months or potentially longer just to experience the story they spent $60 for. And that's just it. I kept going back and forth because of the fact that it is an MMO. And MMOs, they grow over time. That doesn't excuse a launch. You're making a first impression. You want the best first impression you can. And instead of worrying about that, they worried about making the beta the biggest multiplayer demo they possibly could, so that everyone would be hyped and would buy into it. And I really, really don't like that.
Learning no lessons from Titanfall.
Exactly. And this has been a horrible, horrible year for multiplayer games. Everyone, I keep seeing people complaining about, oh dear, multiplayer is taking over. Not really. Speaking as a multiplayer fan, we've had a pretty shitty year. Crawl is about the best multiplayer experience that's happened, and that was a tiny little indie game. It's a fantastic little indie game, but the AAA sector has just been doing horrible. Like it genuinely feels as if they have no comprehension of what their audience actually wants in a multiplayer game. And they're just simply going by whatever metrics indicate, which I actually would believe in some cases is true.
That's okay. Harrison and I will still be playing Civilization 5 and Sins of a Solar Empire.
Yeah. Which we need to actually play a round of Empire because we haven't.
Yeah, I know.
But Civ, I'll play all day. Literally.
He's addicted.
Civ 3.
What? And the dog has come to visit me.
So
Hello,
I'm confused.
You interrupted him. Silence.
Watching some of the footage of somebody playing Destiny, and you're saying it's massively multiplayer, correct?
In theory, they don't even have proximity chat, and you just they tried to say it's not an MMO, it's a shared play experience, which is an MMO. Except
Yeah,
now
and
that
I'm not
people
seeing how
people
that's
just
going to work exactly, I guess.
people just randomly show up in your game, and if you're lucky, they interact with you.
It looks like the interaction comes down to a lot like Borderlands. You don't get
Yeah.
a sense of this massive world and engagement. It's like a level, and sometimes people show up to help you. I
Yeah.
mean, when I played Warcraft, I only played World of Warcraft for 2 hours before I got tired of it and moved on. But in that 2 hours, I encountered more people than my friend encountered in Destiny over his whole playtime. I can attribute that as a fact.
And most of the time,
And see, that's
they're
what I was
either
expecting.
AFK or just dancing. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's what I was expecting when I started watching this footage. I was waiting for people to kind of come in and interact, do something. I don't know, trade things.
Oh, you'll
When
see
you got
people
to
when you go
that
to the
spot.
shops. That's about it.
No, but that should happen all over the place. I would think.
Exactly.
I mean,
If it's an
any kind
MMO,
of
right?
Worker, there should be possible interaction.
So they're holding a shield up saying, "What's an MMO?" But at the same time, it's not an MMO. It's a really poor excuse for an MMO if it is one. But it's also not a shooter. So which is it? Well, it's mediocre of both. I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's not sure what it wants to be. And then when it does want to do something, it does it middlingly and rather underwhelming. So it's kind of just average overall.
Yeah.
Not bad, but it's not good. And it's definitely not what they were saying. I'm going to quote USA Today again. More than a game. The Escapist.
Oh yeah, and getting covered by
Wonderful,
Newsweek even.
masterful
Bloody hell.
game making. And I tweeted about that a few times. I said, how many those quotes that are seen in the Destiny trailers are actually in any review for the game? Oh, none? Oh, okay. You going to put your foot in your mouth yet, or what?
But
That's why
when
we do a preview for a game on Artistry and Games, we try to preview a game that we get a feeling like we've actually played it, so we get a feeling, okay, we really have high hopes that this game, we've actually gotten our hands on it, and it does enough interesting. While it may not be perfect, it's going to at least do something interesting or unique in some way.
Yeah, and that's I hate that I gave the indication that it was going to be good. I mean, I apologize to our readers if
You bought into the hype.
No, I simply played the beta and it seemed to indicate a quality model. And that's just it. I went purely by what I could perceive, and if I
That's
had
what
any
they did.
indication,
That's how they got him. It's kind of like he was walking by and saw one of the brand new iPhones in the store window, and he said, "Ooh, that looks really good." And he went inside, and then after he bought it, he realized it was a cardboard cutout of a phone. It's like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting, but I'll take it home anyway.
the irony
And
of
I'll
this
just complain about it.
example being I still use a flip phone.
Yeah. The analogy is there.
Yeah, I know, and that's it really just pisses me off Even more so because I know that there's still good elements. I mean it. That Crucible mode. That is the one thing that I really genuinely want to come back to. I mean, I'm cutting myself off as much from Destiny as I can because, there's an addiction warning on the MMO review because it's built to be that kind of addictive experience, and I don't want to see people getting hooked into that. And I'm making sure that I only go in if I'm playing with friends or if I'm going to be live streaming it for any reason. That's the only reason I intend to ever load it up again.
And on that note, that's enough Destiny. I'm starting to go to sleep over here. My dog is going to sleep, and she can't even hear the discussion. Maybe it's the gameplay footage I booted up to show her. I think she's rather bored by it too, though.
Yeah, watching it on my end, I'm still saying I'm just seeing Borderlands.
And Harrison, we played quite a bit of Borderlands.
We did, and that's what I'm seeing right now.
Except it's
just not cell shaded.
Exactly. It's just I can't get this drab feeling about it. Just very uninspired, cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that comes to mind when I see this, how much Activision you paid how much for this, and this is what you got? I would ask for a refund. Yeah. But that's just me.
Yeah, they've made back their money and more so by now.
I know. But that's what's really cool about the indie scene. You see all these Kickstarters. You see like games like Raise the Dead, it's in its final hours of Kickstarter. Moon Hunters, they're doing that Kickstarter. The games are doing so many new and interesting things with a mere fraction of the cost of all these gratuitously overhyped, over-budgeted games. It's just and that's some sort of clever segue right there for someone to pick up on and run with it somehow. Oh, come on, you fail. Well, in other news, Wasteland 2 has finally been released.
Yeah, you're definitely looking forward to finally reviewing that, aren't you?
Yes, I never got to play the first one because it's a little bit before my time, just a little bit. And I just never got around to playing it, but I have the copy for review, and I've been holding off until the full release. Same with Hack and Slash. I need to go and play that now that it's actually fully released for review. But I'm definitely interested because it's one of the classic. It's made in the classic throwback sense of CRPGs. And as much as I enjoy Fallout New Vegas and the modern RPGs, sometimes you just want something a bit more traditional in some ways. A bit old-fashioned. I don't know. Maybe that's just the old man in me talking.
Old man. Ha ha ha.
I am. You've got a year on me, though, so what are you talking about? You wanker. And, okay, apparently Vanishing of Ethan Carter comes out in 5 days. Okay, nice. I thought it was actually longer. Cool.
Very nice.
And that's actually by some of the people that were developing People Can Fly, which was responsible for Painkiller, yes, and Bulletstorm. So needless to say, I'm very interested to see what they do in Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
I'm assuming it's going to involve a deep philosophical insight into the Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which you will figure out by shooting every random monster in sight.
No.
I know it's actually. I'm really curious actually to see it because, and here's a segue. There's been a move towards non-traditional combat games. Case in point, Alien Isolation, where you can actually defend yourself and everything like you would in a traditional FPS, but it really isn't that wise a decision. But they give you the option. There's been a recent really big horror craze about just taking away everything from the player, just everything that you can. You take away their weapons, you take away their ability to defend themselves, you pretty much take away every single aspect that they have to even have a chance. And eventually you end up in the case of Outlast where there's no point. You have nothing to fear from dying. You'll just restart at a checkpoint because there's no risk reward situation. Whereas with Isolation, we're finally seeing a move back towards It's still very much survival horror, but you are not the most idiotic person on the planet. You just don't have the best aim. How much have you guys actually been keeping up on Isolation?
Harrison.
I really haven't.
Ah,
All
um,
by myself.
it looks interesting. I just got my new Game Informer talking about it. I've yet to read it. It definitely looks interesting. I'm getting vibes of Amnesia and other games, except however you can actually defend yourself. But
Hey, well, you
Alien,
could throw stuff at him in Amnesia. You could throw a brick at him or something and then run.
yeah,
Yeah, and actually in Penumbra, you could do a similar thing.
yeah.
You could actually, you could kill enemies. It just took a lot of effort.
Usually, though, by the time that they were close enough that you could distract them, it was probably too late, and you were already eaten by the thing. But Alien and Aliens are two of my favorite movies. I'm a huge fan, so I'm interested to see a game that does justice to the universe. Hopefully, Creative
Well,
Assembly is very talented. This is something different for them. It's not a Total War, and they have made a couple of games like Spartan, Total Warrior, and Viking, Battle for Asgard, third-person hack and slash kind of games. So it's interesting to see how they go from that to this very atmospheric, very bleak horror title.
plus, one thing that actually did kind of encourage a little bit more that just kind of made me think, okay, this is sounding a bit better was Sigourney Weaver and the rest of the cast were very open about how the fact that the reason they came back, the reason that the Crew Expendable and Last Survivor DLC missions are going to exist is because they're like, okay, this is for real. Because she turned down things like when they made Alien versus Predator, she literally said that just sounded like an incredibly stupid idea, so she just turned it down. Apparently, whatever Creative Assembly is doing, it actually convinced her and the rest of the crew that's like, okay, this is actually for real. This is actually legit.
Hey, we're gonna make Alien relevant again in all these new kids' minds. You'll make money off royalties. Come start the game.
Yeah, because if they see the game or play the game, then they're going to be like, oh, where did this come from?
Yeah, of course. Hopefully, by then they'll have looked it up, but yeah, like you said, they're like, oh, what's this? And then they'll watch and pee themselves and cry themselves to sleep, and yeah, lots
They
of
can cry
childhood.
themselves. Did we watch the same film? I mean, Alien was fantastic, but it wasn't. Did it actually seriously scare
Well,
you?
some people are more scared by some movies than others. Some people are probably. I know people that have been terrified by the Alien films. I wasn't. I was.
We're
I
not
felt.
believing that right now
Yeah, we were. I'm sorry, but we have to respectfully, completely, and utterly doubt you.
because it's sounding a whole lot like you're trying to cover that.
Yeah.
Maybe I am. Maybe I am, but you have no proof and or picture, so it didn't happen. So, I just tease you.
I knew I needed to believe that Gerard was serious when he said that there was a picture to show me.
Gerard can. All right, something that is interesting. Okay, Battleborn is going to be a MOBA. Traditionally,
We're back
MOBAs.
to Battleborn.
Well, traditionally MOBAs are free to play, usually on the PC market because of the way they are played out. As they're an overhead strategy game, they work better for PC. You can have MOBA-ish games for consoles. Awesome Knots works well because it was a 2D perspective, and I know Guardians of Middle Earth tried it, but if you don't have the keyboard, you lack a lot of the options, and a lot of them are free to play. But then you come into the whole free-to-play concept. I know a lot of people, they're criticizing Riot Games about their business model for League of Legends, saying that they shouldn't be selling skins or champions to be bought with real money, and they're holding up Dota 2 as an example of how to do free-to-play right. Well, yes, Dota 2 is how to do free-to-play right, Team Fortress 2. But here's the thing. Team Fortress 2 and Dota 2 are by Valve, the guys behind Steam and Half-Life, and
Portal.
they pretty much, Portal, and they are like the monopoly of the global distribution market for video games on PCs. I mean, there's other markets obviously, but Steam is the major one.
Yeah.
They have a lot more revenue sources than just what they can make from one game. You know, Riot, all they have is League of Legends and whatever they can make from that, you know, merchandising and stuff. Valve has so much more, so you can't really fault Riot for trying to make money off something that they've worked so hard on, and it's their only thing they can monetize.
Also, how I don't see how they're doing it wrong at all. I think that would be the best way to make you make some money is if I want to play it, I don't care what the character looks like. I'll just play. And if the guy next to me virtually wants his character to have some special skin and he wants to pay for it, well, that's fair game. He can do that. He can spend his money that way. So I feel like that's the better way is to make the gameplay not really affected by what people can spend the money on.
Exactly. And, you know, it's all cosmetics. It's just, and they do the skins to make a wide variety, and different people like different skins. They kind of make them towards personalities and stuff. And then you can earn everything in the game. It takes a lot of time. You can unlock champions through playing it, but the idea through their rotating system is you find one that you like when he's free, and you save up to get him. That's what I did when I first started. And I've saved up to get my favorite champion, and that's who I end up playing most of the time as. But
And
I
how much
enjoy
does that
it.
cost normally?
Like real money wise,
Yeah,
I think each champion is like it's around $7, somewhere around there.
that's
Maybe.
not expensive.
And then there's also that was one of the higher tier ones. They also have several tiers of champions. Some of them are ridiculously cheap, and then the other ones are like $7, $10. They're all around $10.
But still, that's not expensive. If someone
No.
wants to buy a champion
Exactly.
and spend $10 on them, that they can only spend $10 ever on the game if they want to do that.
Right. Or, you know,
Yeah.
in your case, not spend any money at all.
Yeah, I've not played it a lot, but when I have played it, I never spent anything on it.
Exactly, but you still enjoyed it for the most part.
Yep.
So, but I brought that up because Harrison, he's been telling me a lot of his adventures in Godus, whatever.
I think
Peter
it's Godus.
Molyneux's new God game that is now on mobile devices, where Harrison's been playing it.
I have. I'm a little bit addicted.
A little
I
bit.
think what gets me is the terraforming options of creativity that way. I like to build stuff, so I got really sucked into Terraria and
Starbound.
can't wait for Starbound to get done. So when you let me mess with the environment and change stuff, and I'm automatically more interested. And I'm almost completely out of new content in this game, and I have not spent anything. So I feel like that's another way to do it too. I just shifted my play style a little bit to where I'll open it up, tweak some things I want to, and then leave it alone for hours and then come back to it later. And that's kind of how you have to play it if you don't want to spend money. And I'm okay with that. So
It was interesting because one of the people with the site, Josh, he was complaining about the business practices
Yeah.
of Goddess, and then on the other hand, I have Harrison singing praises. So I was interested to see Harrison's point of view because he was telling me about, I think it's, what is it, the belief counter? The belief is what you pay real money for?
yeah, and you pay real money for these gems and then use the gems to buy other things, which is like a pretty standard practice, I think, for those. But I eventually have gotten far enough where some kind of gem-like shiny things have started to appear on the actual land you play on, and you can take miners and have them mine these gems, and then that's actually the stuff that you would spend money on. So there's another way for you to continue to play and, quote, buy things that some people may want to go ahead and dump $15 into and save a few days of time, and they can do that. But the belief is kind of the thing you spend most of your time trying to get because you need it to terraform and move followers around and different things like that. But if you just wait a little while, come back in later, collect some stuff, and then go on your way, it's really not that annoying.
So you are a fan?
I am. And I'm like I said, I've just about run out of content, and I'm ready for them to update it again because I kind of like to see where it's going to go. Hopefully, you're supposed to be able to advance the civilization like into the future. Space travel kind of, that's the idea, rumor. But
Nice.
it may never make it that far.
Well, that's why we have Civilization Beyond Earth, though, too.
Exactly, which I really want.
Yeah, well, that'll be a new addiction.
Quick question, actually, on the Gotus front. One of the things that was promised, and the game before this, where Peter Molyneux had everyone digging to get inside a cube, the reward
Curiosity.
was, yeah, curiosity. The reward was this somewhat confusing literal godhood within the game. You basically, whoever got the godhood status would have a dramatic impact on the game. Have you actually encountered any changes by
None
any
of that's in
supposed deity?
yet. Yeah, I don't think any of that's in yet, unless
Wow.
the
Not yet.
unless the random, like, sometimes it'll storm and lightning strikes will hit stuff, whatever. I mean, it doesn't really cause any kind of harm at all. I mean, it'll set a tree on fire, but since it's raining, it kind of puts the tree out. So, unless some person somewhere is getting to decide when I get thunderstorms, that's all I can think of. There's nothing like that. But
Interesting.
someone did tweet him asking for when they were going to broaden it up, because supposedly everyone's supposed to be playing on kind of one planet. And then somehow there's some kind of interaction. I don't really know all the details. I haven't done enough research. Someone tweeted to him and asked, when is this coming? And he said it's coming soon. We're working on the security of it because they want it to be really secure. No one's really probably going to believe that, but they want it to be secure. So before it comes out, that's what they've got to finish. So supposedly we're all going to have some kind of interaction with each other on some level. I don't know. And then at that point, maybe that extra character will come in.
Interesting.
That is something that is interesting because I remember hearing about that. Because they have a role over the game, but at the same time, like, they don't. It's this very weird, restrictive, very selective process as to what he can actually do.
Yeah.
So I will be interested when they actually do get to bring that into the game. That will be something to, I don't know, it might be something worth dabbling in then. Especially,
And I will say it would probably be way better on an iPad too, or a tablet of any kind.
yes, that was something else. I watched Total Biscuits. This was obviously back in early alpha, I think not long after it launched last year. But to terraform on the PC, you had to click and continuously click. There was no
Yeah.
click and hold. So that would obviously be better on the tablet unless they've actually got a click and hold mechanic now, which
No.
obviously, why
Yeah.
not?
How it works now is you just have to drag it. You drag it from where it is to where you want it to be. And it kind of like takes some getting used to how that actually reacts to your input. But it would be way better with a bigger screen. I'm fighting with an iPhone 5 with it right now.
Yeah, that would be so much fun on a tablet, I imagine. Or at least just more enjoyable. That's the
Yeah.
thing, there's so many mobile games. Like, I'm playing Monument Valley on my Galaxy S3, and I'm enjoying it. Great art style, but at the same time, there's a lot of the parts where there's a little pizzas on the world where you need to interact with that are very close together. And if it was on a tablet where you have more screen real estate, it would be so much more enjoyable. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just a little too crowded. Any kind of strategy game, there's a lot of games that you can see that's the only reason I want a tablet is to play some of these games.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have it on the iPad. Oh wait, you lost
that
didn't you?
was a work one, and it probably would not have run well on the first generation iPad. It's getting kind of catchy every once in a while with my 5, and I was kind of surprised by that. But I've got like I said, I've almost run out of content. The character, or the kind of the staged process, I guess it goes through, is when you get to a certain level of something, whether it be farms or mines or followers, then you get a new card that unlocks something.
Yeah.
Well, I've maxed out all of those except for the mines, and I'm like 10 away from maxing out the mines. I just hadn't done that yet.
Okay.
So the followers I've maxed out. 5,000 is when it quit upping the ante to the next level. So I'm assuming when they release that next set, then it will move that again. So I'll automatically jump to the next one, I guess. But I've got like 11,000. So when I'm in an area where there's multiple buildings and multiple people walking around, maybe dozens of people and multiple buildings and stuff's happening, it kind of hangs a little bit. So I've been surprised by that. It probably would not have run well on an iPad one.
Not at all. Oh, you would think
Um,
it would be a bit more optimized.
I think it's that it's because I've gone beyond what basically you're supposed to. I guess I don't. I mean,
Because it is still
there no.
an early access
Yeah,
thing
exactly.
too. So
So
yeah, maybe
not
that's
all the
what it is.
content's out yet. It
You
could change a
broke
lot.
it. You broke the game. Peter Molyneux is going to hunt you down.
damn
And
it,
and it
man!
updates.
They had one job and you made them fail it.
In other news, last night I went to the pre-release for the new Magic the Gathering set, and I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan, and I looked at the cards that were in the set, and I said, "This sucks." Yeah.
You have not
So,
been happy since especially after the game release.
oh, I've been happy with the cards, but this new set in particular, this new expansion, there's just the mechanics are boring, the card costs are all too high, and it's just lame. I'll put it this way. I was more excited to get two older cards for a new deck I'm making than any of the new stuff I got.
Well then,
Yeah.
Things I don't know about.
Yeah, just a little tidbit. And then afterwards, it's like, oh yeah, what do I want to do after I've been sitting here since 12 o'clock in the morning and it's now 6 in the morning? I want to watch you play Destiny. And oh, okay, I'm going to sleep now. Yeah. It worked as intended.
So, are you saying you might not have fallen asleep quite so fast had you not been so tired?
No, because I was still pretty awake. And then I was watching YouTube. I was watching The Blacklist. And he said, "Hey, you want to watch me play Destiny?" I said, "Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
I can watch The Blacklist whenever." Turn around, watching him play Destiny. Like, I want to go back to The Blacklist, and no, I'll just go to sleep. All right, enough Destiny. I won't bring it up anymore. I promise.
I simply say the Crucible, it works.
Not $60 works.
No, 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 no. I would say the Crucible would be worth a $20 release separately. If they could release it separately on its own matter, it could work. It could work. I could totally see that working. Anything other than that, though, no, it's not worth. It is never going to be worth $60 at this rate. So, moving on.
Well, that's kind of an interesting point you made, though. How many times have you played a game though and wished that one part of it could just be pulled out and be its own thing?
Yeah, actually, I'm made to think back to Extra Credits when they talked about, what if Call of Duty just released its multiplayer and then the multiplayer fans could just buy that and move on. And you know what? Yeah, I really think that would have worked in the case of Destiny because I would have gotten my money's worth if I just got Crucible. Even if I didn't have the Strike playlist, which is fun but not entirely necessary, there's enough to get out of that because the inclusion of supers and recharge grenades instead of normal grenades, it changes the tempo a bit, even if it is still fairly Destiny slash Halo shooting. Are there any games in particular that you would actually have liked to have seen divided up more? Either of you? Like there's this just one game you liked, but there was only one part that you really liked about it, and the rest of it was completely throwaway.
I brought that up because I had memories of that thought crossing my mind, but at the moment I can't remember why or what I was playing when that happened. I just remember thinking that on more than one occasion. I wish I could just buy this part because I don't care about the rest of it.
Hmm. Well, it's probably a game I have because you probably mooched it from me.
That's highly likely.
I don't know. That's an interesting thought.
I'm gonna have to note that from now on. Every time that happens, I'll make a little note and then bring it up later.
And this last game I've been playing, yeah, that's gonna be our recurring theme now.
I wish it just had X.
Why didn't this just happen?
Why? Oh, why?
I think one of a good example of that would be Actually, some of the Splinter Cells.
Oh dear.
No, I'm thinking more of
The old ones?
Double Agent. There was this mechanic where you would be on a mission and you had to. The whole premise of Double Agent was you were playing as a double agent. You're tasked by the government to infiltrate this terrorist task force, this terrorist group, and you've got to make them trust you. So to do that, you have to do their objectives and these missions, while at the same time the government has objectives issued to you too.
And kind of lines drawn, or no?
Yeah, like okay, we want this guy alive. Then terrorists say no, you need to kill this guy. There were a lot that were like that. Bug, put a plug here, or blow this place up. But the thing is, some of them they really it wasn't you could do either or. It was you can do all of them. And some of them they forced you to choose, but for the most part, it would have been cool to like just have the game focused around that kind of mechanic. Trying to gain trust of these people while also making sure the people back keeping an eye on you don't think that you've gone rogue. Which in reality, they wouldn't think you've gone rogue so easily because you're obviously a deep cover operative, so they're less likely to think you've gone rogue after you do 2 or 3 things. Whereas if you've been acting like a monster for 6 months or so, they're like, might need to call this guy back in. But
Calling
still,
you back in. I don't think that's what would happen.
Well, they'll just yank that leash. But just that general idea of trying to balance people's trust and their image of you and having to choose between different groups, it's very interesting. Sleeping Dogs kind of had that mechanic where when you're in the game, if you when you're on a mission, there's cop behavior that like if you run over citizens, you cause property damage, you kill innocent people, you do things that a cop wouldn't do, you would get less cop experience. Whereas the triads that you play as were more reckless, killing enemies, blowing stuff up, you would get more triad experience. So there was kind of that walking a fine line there as to which kind of play style you wanted to do, but I ended up doing both of them there too. Which
doing both should be pretty easy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It would be nice to have one that makes you actually forces you to do one or the other. Like in The Walking Dead. Okay, here's a choice. You do, these choices, and then once you make it, there is no coming back after that choice. It's like, you're stuck with it now.
Unless you just load less save.
Yeah. But
how many times did we all do that?
The only time I actually did it was for the newest season because there's actually multiple endings for this one, unlike the other ones, and I wanted to actually see them. And then I rewound it once or twice to play them, and then I went and tried to look up the rest just to see them. Once I was happy with my playthrough.
I only did it once, and it was for... Caleb, you know the decision that involves a certain someone and medicine?
Yeah.
That one I actually made 2 separate playthroughs. I still haven't actually followed up the one playthrough.
That was
I know. That really disappointed me afterwards. But it was like, you're kidding me. The one time I used the rewind mechanic, and you're making it useless.
Yeah, Harrison, when you play the new season, there's several choices in there where it's like in season 1 where you got blamed for stealing the guy's food. You get blamed for doing things even though you clearly didn't, and the people that are accusing you can see you didn't or know you didn't, but you still get dragged into all this conflict because you got accused of it.
That's
accused.
I know you're using this to try to bring us to a head to conflict, but it's kind of creating a dissonance with the choices that we've made. It's like, shoot the kindergartner? I don't want to shoot the kindergartner. A guy pops up next to you, hey, you shot my kid. Like, no, he didn't, Daddy, shut up, you're dead. And, he shoots him then. It's like, oh, you killed my kid, and then he tries to shoot you. It's like, okay, you're completely contradicting what you're trying to accomplish here. But
and I feel like there's good ways you can use that option where it doesn't matter what you do, the outcome's the same.
Right.
That can be used in a way that it makes sense.
Like in the first season with Lee, it didn't matter what happened. The way that Lee was still going to, what happened to Lee was still going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's different, like you said, that there's, it doesn't matter what you did, the outcome was the same, but there weren't people accusing you of doing things and they know you didn't do them.
Yeah.
That's, like you said, like that, when you give them the illusion of choice and then you jerk the rug out from under them, it's like, oh, you never had a choice. It's like, no.
Or making someone helpless because it doesn't matter what you choose. Sometimes it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And I
Actually,
That's
in the
good.
exact same episode, they do that. There's a character, they make a very big deal about you choosing whether or not to consider whether or not it's worth fighting for them, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the end. Either way, their character arc resolves the same way. In fact, two character arcs resolve without any input. One doesn't even happen on screen until after the events happened.
I think season 1 did a slightly better job of it than season 2 did in some
Why do you think
regards.
that is? What do you think changed?
I think like they were trying to do this branching narrative, and obviously once you play it and you see like the branching so that you can do it, it really changes the way you look at the ending, because you can choose this one decision, and it didn't sit right with me. I was like, this just feels wrong. It feels off. I went back and played it and did something different. Said, this feels like a better story. Like this feels like a better going off point from here on out. But like in season 1, you're in the meat cooler with Larry. He's been bitten, or no, he hasn't been bitten, but he's had a heart attack, and you're debating on whether or not to revive him. And spoilers, Kenny comes over there and smashes the guy's head in. It doesn't matter what you chose to do, the guy still dies. But still, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to save him, and then to have him die in front of you, even though you thought you had a choice to save him, it's like, what?
Yeah,
You know, like
and I
that
like that
was-
because you
Yeah.
can't control other people's decisions.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But like, and I don't know what they did in season 2. It's like they were trying something new, and it just doesn't always pan out right. You know, there's some great new characters, great new writing. Clementine's awesome, but like some of the gameplay and story decisions they've done, it's just they've got this weird dissonance going on. And then Carver is basically the governor, only not as interesting and charismatic.
With not nearly as much an impact on the plot as you think he's going to be.
And he was seriously underutilized. I mean, I was hoping for more of Clementine and the governor, and Clementine and the Carver are the same person. They are similar in a lot of ways, you know, more of that stuff. But no.
Yeah, we had to stick a pin in that one.
I will say though, the season 2 was the most gratuitously violent of any Telltale games yet. There was some violence that's just, oh my, oh jeez, oh my goodness, this is just, oh, damn.
I mean, it's not like it's used just for shock value. They actually
No,
have a point for it. It's just a lot more than before.
like the ending of episode 3.
Eek.
That was just, it ends right there, and you're like, no. That's when I actually stopped. I said, okay, I'm not playing anymore until the whole season's out, so I can play it all at once. So yeah, once Harrison plays it, he's gonna come and say, yeah, you were so right, damn it, and he's gonna know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, just a little lost, but in a good way.
But the problem is, once you play it, you'll know immediately. It's not like you have to think about it. Like, oh, are they talking about this or this? You'll play it and you say, oh, yeah, yeah, I know it. Jeez, come on. There's also a bit more logic breaks, and there's a couple of times where it seemed like Telltale was trying to be meta with a couple of jokes. It's like, you're not making anything funny by pointing out a gameplay contrivance and trope that you're pushing on us, you know. Like I'll give you an example. There's a part where you're in this compound and you need to do something, and the whole group sitting there debating about what needs to happen, and they say, Clementine, you need to do it. One of your dialogue choices is, why do I always have to do things? And it's like, okay, or if you're trying to be meta, but then they instantly just like explain it away, saying like, basically, Clementine's the only capable person among this group of adults that can do anything. It's like, wow.
Yes, the 12-year-old child is the most capable person in the group.
There are pregnant women in this game who ask for mothering advice from this little girl. Yeah, I'm not kidding. And then at the same time, they'll turn right around and say, oh, you're just a kid. You don't know anything. It's like, what? What? Oh, my goodness. It's just, there's so much of this. I've got these diametrically opposed opposites of what they're trying to do and what's going on. It's just, it rubbed me the wrong way more than season 1 did. But still a good game.
Yeah.
Not as good as The Wolf Among Us or season 1 of The Walking Dead, but still good.
Them's fighting words.
No, they're not. It's fact.
Yes, they are.
Here,
I played The Wolf Among Us. That ending was
Harrison, you haven't been able to play that yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. You need
Caleb and
to.
I are
Was that
very
Bastion?
divided on it.
Yes, that is my notification ringtone.
Wow. Aren't you proud I could pick that out?
Yep. I'm also
My
proud how
phone is
sensitive
from
my mic
Transistor.
is. Did they had Supergiant had some ringtones from Transistor they were giving away for free. Did I send you that link?
Oh yeah, I've got it. They're
Okay.
set on my phone, or they were earlier. I
Okay.
reset some settings. I need to go back. They're really good.
Okay. Just making sure. Well, we've been prattling on for an hour and 10 minutes now.
Indeed.
Is this where we start going on to other topics, like what we're doing with the site and what we've been playing and all that cool stuff that no one cares about? But we're going to talk about anyway, because
Indeed.
we have an inflated sense of self-importance.
Anyone that does anything like this kind of has to.
Yes, this is how we this is how we feel good about ourselves. This is how we can sleep at night.
So someone's going to listen to me, I promise.
And you see, this time, normally when we talk, it's just the voices in our head. This time we actually hear a reply in a different voice.
I know, and it's always unsettling.
I made a joke the other day. I said, what's the difference between tweeting and talking to myself? I said, when I talk to myself, I normally get a reply. Anyways, what have you been doing for the site lately, Elijah?
Mr. Anderson.
Sandbox.
Well, you already know about Destiny. Other than that, finally got the crawl preview up. I do not know why it took so long for that one to finally get up, but I'm glad it did because, well, let me put it this way. Do you like dungeon crawlers? Do you like games like Gauntlet? Do you like Dark Souls Invasions? Then look into it. You should. And the AI is actually incredibly impressive. I've never actually seen AI that behaved like I was. AI that actually behaved like a human being. They would make mistakes. They'd follow specific play patterns and behaviors. It felt like I was actually playing with people.
That's creepy.
Quick note, since you mentioned it, there's the new Gauntlet game. I believe it comes out this Tuesday. I don't know anything about it, but it is developed. I have not played it, I should say. I haven't paid attention to any coverage, but it's developed by the people that brought us Magica, Arrowhead Studios. So it might be worth checking out because Magica was just multiplayer insanity. And it comes out on the 23rd, just FYI. Anyways, continue.
Other than that, actually, Don't Starve on the PS Vita, believe it or not. In fact, I've got it in my hands right now. I have Don't Starve on PC for those wondering, but because of the whole PS4 copy going through, you also got a free PS Vita copy, and I'm surprised how much better it is actually as a handheld game.
Really?
I would never have imagined it'd be such a better experience, but I'm actually even playing better. I'm actually to day 17 in my second playthrough.
It kind of helps with the inventory management too, though, doesn't it? Because on
Oh
the
yeah,
PC it was kind of
the interface is much better. When you want to access specifically your inventory, you can hit R1 and pause. If you hit L1, you can access all your crafting stuff, and it's about the same as it is in the game, but the sliding around's a bit nicer. But it's the same way for me with action RPGs as with this. It's a lot easier to just move around a control stick and hit square, because then you're not constantly trying to just make it all line up. Whereas in Don't Starve on PC, I played it all mouse, because that's really how they built it to be played, was all mouse, and it wasn't nearly as fun. It was a lot choppier in experience, and they're actually, by making certain options for creating your own custom world less readily available, you can't just make everything a cakewalk. It actually makes it a much more rewarding game, because the first time I actually played Don't Starve on PC, I was very merciful to myself. I made sure, okay, that thing's going to spawn less, that thing's going to spawn less, that thing's going to spawn less, but here you can only go for more, or less, depending more for the dangers and less for the good things, or you go by default. In most cases, there are a few things that you can turn down that are hazards, like there's certain weather effects that you can turn off, but it just by sticking to its guns more, I actually see it working a lot better, and overall, it just yeah, it's incredibly solid. If they do bring over the Don't Starve Together update to this, it may be my first co-op Vita game to actually really genuinely have. I've been since Hotline Miami. I've been trying to find another game to play on my Vita that felt like something worth playing on it, something that actually was distinctive. And I'm sorry, Killzone Mercenary, but you really peter out way too fast. This, I'd say, if you have a Vita and you don't have a PC and you're curious about Don't Starve, get it because I'm loving it. It works so well. It's one of the best mobile ports I've seen in ages. That's about it for me.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Well, Harrison, have you played anything besides Godus and Godus, whatever it is, and Child of Light?
Let's see. I did something. What did I do? I played a little hack and slash, and I really wanted to like it, but I'm having a hard time getting hooked into it.
Really?
Yeah, I really, really wanted to like it. It just...
How long did you play it?
Probably 20 minutes or so.
Now, when did you play it last?
Like 2 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so this should be the,
Yeah,
it should be real now.
It is full release. Yeah, it is full release.
So I need to play some more and see what I can get into. It just seems simple. I don't know.
I will say I only played like a couple hours. It is very simple at first, but it gets the curve sharpened quickly the last time I played it. Granted, that was before release, but still, you could. Yeah. But just the mechanic of interacting with the world through the code.
Yeah, I really like that. That was what really made me interested in it to begin with.
But, exactly, because you're a computer nerd.
Yeah, but there was something else. What else did I play? When it's your turn, I'm gonna open up Steam and see what else what I've played because I can't remember.
What you've been mooching?
That. What else? I'm trying to think. Oh, you take a turn and let me figure out what I played.
Well, I'm about to start my final. I played Wasteland 2 for a couple hours before it was released, and then I decided I wanted to hold off because they had a lot of updates they were going to push out, so I've held off until it was completely released to play it for a review. Which it's whenever you're reviewing an early access game or you want to do a game coverage for early access, it's very tricky because once they unless you're talking to the developer, you don't know what kind of content they're going to push out, if it's major, if it's going to be reflective of the final game's quality. Anytime it gets updated, the final release is going to wipe your data. So if you don't have your data backed up, but even then, sometimes since it was early access, it's not always compatible. So you've got this really weird, murky water when trying to review early access games that are coming out because you want to be on time, but at the same time, you want to provide an honest review. So I've held off on Wasteland 2 and Hack and Slash for that. But I do have access to Neverending Nightmares. It was successfully kickstarted not long ago. I've had access to it for a couple of weeks now, and it should be in final release form coming up soon because it's going to release next week. And I only played it for an hour or so, but I really enjoyed it. The art style, it's black and white, and the only other colors are red and gold and a couple other colors. And it's very everything looks like it was drawn with a pencil, but it's very sharp, it's very detailed. But also the whole world is very alive. It's very animated, despite being very 2D and pencil drawn. I know I'm doing a terrible job describing it, but Like the main character, when he moves, his pajamas, he gets out of breath, his cheeks, his hair. Like there's all these little subtle details
Hmm.
that just really they really stand out to me. And the game's really creepy. It has this great sense of atmosphere, this great musical score, and it's not scary to me. It is very creepy, but I wanna get back into it and see what else lies ahead. And
Yeah,
the
I'm very
other
curious about
game
that
I've
one
been
as well.
playing lately is another game that was successfully kickstarted, Chasm. It's a Metroidvania kind of game, and so far the build I've been playing, it's an alpha build. I think the developer told me there was 2 areas in there of the 6 or 8 final count, and it's more Castlevania than Metroid. There's more of an emphasis on combat and like learning moves, from what I can tell. And there's a RPG kind of light RPG mechanics. It has a great pixel art style and a great music score too, and I'm interested to see what else comes out of it. I'm a huge fan of Metroidvania games, so I'm definitely enjoying it. And yeah, that's about what I've been playing. Oh wow.
Have you found anything else, Harrison? Have you found your secret game that keeps wiping your memory?
Oh no, I haven't yet. But I did play. I played a little bit more of the bridge the other day.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah, it's still great. I just need to finish it. I like hop in and play like a few levels and then quit for a while.
and
Um,
that's another game. You know how it has that very pencil hand drawn art style.
yes, it's great.
Never-Ending Nightmares is similar to that, but it's sharper. It looks almost like it was done with Sharpie, permanent marker. I don't know if that
Okay.
makes sense. But you have this very sense. It has this very homemade, personal atmosphere and sense about it, which is the game's based on this the developers' struggles with OCD and depression and stuff. So it really helps it feel a bit more personal than other games. And
Yeah, I need to.
it's
I need to play
pretty.
this.
It's very pretty. It's pretty, despite being basic. I just saw a picture on Twitter where they took the Final Fantasy trailer where they're all in a car and they put them in the McDonald's drive-thru. My day has been made.
What?
Okay.
Uh,
What?
Oh, and I just saw a game I didn't want to go play some more of that I haven't in a long time.
and okay, I just found some tweets. All right, I have to read these. How many Nintendo fans does it take to screw in a light bulb? Come on, answer. Takers, come on. All
We
right.
are givers, not takers.
Psh, it's Nintendo. Light bulbs are current tech. Nintendo uses candles. How many Microsoft fanboys does it take to screw in a light bulb? Irrelevant. By the time they get to the bulb, it's not a bulb anymore.
Yeah.
How many Sony fanboys does it take to screw in a light bulb? Depends. Are they Vita owners? Don't worry, Sony does the screwing of them. How many PC gamers does it take to screw in a light bulb? 8,281,284. One to do the deed, and the rest of them to talk about why their bulb is superior. Yeah, I would say.
And at least 5 to pirate the bulb.
Of course, now we already have hashtags Lightbulb Master Race. Please, we are too busy building our own bulbs. Store-bought bulbs are overpriced, and underpowered. Ah, I love a good sense of humor. Anyways. Harrison,
that'll be
didn't
it.
find anything else on Steam?
No, I haven't really been doing that much, honestly. That's about all I've played. I really want, like I said, I want to play some more Transistor, but I haven't yet.
And you're doing the recursion, your second playthrough?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something, quick little diversion since you brought up Transistor. I was reading somewhere, and someone had talked about, they post a trigger warning, and that's a new thing now. Whenever there's content that some people might find objectionable, we post trigger warnings. It's a new thing some people are doing. But there was a trigger warning for Transistor, and they said there were several characters in the game that commit suicide, and they said they had this very big post in bold italics and said, hey, be aware there's people in this game that commit suicide. And it was just interesting because to me it didn't bother me because there's the suicides that do occur. One of them you get why they did it, and one of them is kind of it's a romantic kind of thing. I know it's kind of yeah, it's one of those tropes, but still. But at the same time, it made me think, well, what if I knew someone that had done this or something? It's like, wow, it kind of makes you think about everybody else. You just never know how other people are going to view the
Yeah.
game.
And see, I guess I wouldn't say I was offended by them at all. I mean, I don't like that. Obviously, most people don't. But
Right.
I feel like if that's the story they wanted to tell, then they have every right to. So that's kind of where I approach it, where it's like, well, I mean, I didn't write it, so.
Yeah, like I did the interview with the writer. I'm working on getting that in published and up, and one of the things he kept mentioning was like they pretty much knew from the get-go like how the story was going to play out. They knew from the beginning like what was going to happen, and they knew it was going to be this love story, but they also knew like how it was going to happen, what was going to play out, and they told the story the way they wanted to tell it. I was like, you gotta respect them for that. They brought their vision to life the way they wanted to.
And most people don't get to do that.
Exactly.
Do I hear a Wii?
Yeah, Transistor, go play it, people.
It's good.
It's great.
And I guess,
Music.
I don't know if that's maybe spoiler warning worthy or not, but if you haven't played it, then I won't ruin it. But the gameplay style of getting to stop time and everything and plan out your moves is really fun and also odd when someone's doing it to you.
Yeah, that was kind of like, no, stop. Because there were my times where my bar would fill back up. I would be about to do it, but then they would do it before me. So I'm sitting there
you're like,
hoping
no,
that I bounce out the way. It's like, damn it.
Yep. Or not expecting, or I guess another thing that I got frustrated with during play was you've planned out exactly what you want to happen.
And then the enemy like moves out your line of fire.
No, your attack actually bounces them. So you attacked them, they moved from your attack, so you knocked them out of the way, and then your next attack doesn't land because they moved. I'm like,
yeah,
really?
that's
I think the aim should shift based on the enemy.
Well, that was something that he mentioned in his thing, how you kind of write this story every battle, and like you're writing this narrative, and they added that sense of drama. And that's why whenever I was in a battle, I would always end with Cole. It was the giant uppercut that pretty much, if they had any health left, that would end them. Because, like you said, you didn't want to hit them and knock them out the way of all your other attacks, because then you're sitting there running around helpless for the most part, waiting for your stuff to recharge.
Well, I always, if at all possible, made it so that I could attack during a recharge.
Yeah, you had that function modifier.
Yeah, I always had that, so at least one of my attacks would work.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the most ingenious design features I've ever... I guess it's been in other games before, I'm assuming, but I've never seen it work in this way or engaged with it myself, where when you get damaged, you just lose a function and you have to replace it. Well, I mean, you don't have to replace it. You can just wait until you get it back. But in that time, you're down some functionality. You can't do something that you used to be able to do, so why not reach into your bag of tricks that you have left alone and use a new one? Where we would normally pick 3 things we like and go with those, where now one of your 3 things that you like to use is gone. So pick one of the other 15 that's lying over there that you just didn't think sounded good.
And try it out.
Yeah, and it worked really, really well.
When he's referring to when your health bar becomes extinguished when you die, quote unquote, you lose one of your 4 main functions. And I think it's the one like they use their memory as like your skill points, and think it's the one that costs the most memory, right? So usually the ones that do the most damage,
like the best
lose
one
first. Yeah. So then you have to adapt to the battlefield and what's going on with your limited functions. And then there's these things called access points that function as checkpoints. And after you find so many of them, after you've lost your function, you get access to the other function back. But like Harrison said, it's locked. So you can stick with the 3 that you have, but at the same time, you've got this whole plethora of options.
Out the window.
And then, every time you use an option, because they all have different effects the way you assign them, it completely changes your playstyle and how you approach combat. And it was just really cool to see this risk reward, but death is not frustrating mechanic, at least for the most part. You know, if you got in a really tough battle and lost all but one function, it could be annoying, but for the most part, death was encouraging you to experiment with the rest of the game mechanics, which tied back to the narrative, and it was just this really big Ouroboros that just never ended and went on, and it complemented each other, and it was just awesome.
And when you get far enough in your second playthrough, you start to get duplicates of stuff, which is really nice.
Yeah, double call.
Because then if you're not using one and you get it knocked out, you can just go grab the other one.
So much scratchy, buzzy, scratchy.
Excuse me?
Somebody's buzzy every once in a while.
It is Zod, the man who thinks he is Zod.
I don't know what's causing it. The fan's off. The only thing that's making noise in here besides you guys is the laptop.
It could be your headset.
Yeah, maybe you're also the actual connection to the jack.
Yes.
It should be fine.
Harrison works in IT. Oh, wait. Oh,
Wait a second.
It disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, that...
It's gone.
Oh, damn it. Oh, wait, so it's... Okay, so it's gone? Gone? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep, gone.
Alright, good. Alright, guys. I apologize, but I need to be calling it in. And then for tonight, I was up early today helping my mom at an art show, so...
Blah, 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 blah. I got 2 hours of sleep. And we're almost at our time limit anyway, so blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Actually, we're over our time limit.
No,
by
we're
about
reaching an
30
hour and a
minutes.
half, so that's fine. If anyone stays through to listen to these all the way to the end, then they deserve some sort of medal. Or something. I'll give you a piece of candy, and I'll try to find a Steam code somewhere and throw you a Steam code of Bad Rats. Yeah. That's how I reward your tenacity. I reward you with crappy games. So,
Sounds like Gearbox.
no, I'm being forthright and honest about it, though.
Telling them it's trap ahead of time.
Exactly. Hey, look. It looks like shit. It smells like shit, but it's not shit. Randy Pitchford. Magical magician, illusionist, see? It helps with his CEO skills. It's like, you see this awesome demo? In reality, it is, poof, this pile of crap. Had you fooled? Made you look? Okay, runs away with your money.
Alright.
Well, thank you for listening to whoever's listening, and hopefully we'll be back with another episode. We'll be doing this on a weekly schedule, hopefully. Fingers crossed, maybe.
Indeed. Indeed.
And maybe we'll have another new voice next time, and hopefully Harrison is here to stay and was not too weirded out by Mr. Elijah Sandbox over there.
If I stay, I need a nickname or something.
Nazi.
No, it cannot be Nazi.
Yes, it can. When I get aggravated, I'll just throw a grenade at you and blow you in half. We shall come up with a name for you. Dwarf.
Ford. Harrison Ford.
No, dwarf.
If that has been said to me once, it's been said 1,000 times.
If the shoe fits, wear it.
And if it doesn't, talk to your tailor.
For
Taylor,
sure.
for your shoes?
You Pennsylvanians are weird.
Yes, we are!
Saw that damn
We have
chocolate.
Amish who play on PSPs, for goodness sake.
And that's a good place to cut it out. And we still have some dignity intact.
Good night, everybody. Waiting for it just to catch up.